Welcome back to New Rock Stars. WandaVision's finale is imminent, with a staggering number of questions left to be answered. Wanda is facing the witchcraft of Agatha and maybe an opportunity to escape into a multiverse. But Monica Rambeau could be our hero. New Jersey's radiation levels are, well, maybe the same as they were before, but how will this end? I'm Eric Voss. This is Rogue Theory. With me today is an amazing panel, including editor-in-chief of Geeks of Color, Dorian Parks.
Thanks for having me back, guys. Excited to be here again.
Excited to have you back. This is going to be great. Also, coming back to New Rock Stars, a friend of the show, comedian Danielle Spiso.
Hi, guys. Not dressed up as Wednesday Addams. Maybe next time.
I'm a little disappointed. that was back when we had a studio.
For long-time viewers. Yeah.
Remember the old days, the good times? Well, no, the good times are happening right here, right now, because we got Marvel stuff to talk about. And who could forget off-screen producer Zach Huddleston's here.
Hey, happy to be on screen again. I am dressed as Wednesday Addams this time, so that's
costume
fun.
Lose a couple points on the costume.
It's more of a mindset than a costume.
It's an interpretive one.
For sure.
All right, so as we turn toward we assume a final battle of WandaVision here, the options are really narrowing for how this series will conclude. Like, how will it set up the next Marvel titles? How will it rewrite the rules of the MCU? Let's do this together, guys. Let's set some predictions for this WandaVision finale episode. So, I want to hear all you guys' thoughts on this. First, let's talk about this dawn of the multiverse that we might be facing. Do we think that we will see Wanda actually create the MCU multiverse? And have we already seen that process and its process already started?
I think so. I mean, she's losing it. And I don't think she really has control over, like, exactly what she's doing. And I could see her just, like, I'm going to say it, maybe the Vision dies and that just snaps her little crazy brain and there we go. There goes the Nexus and it's just like looping all over the place. Maybe Agatha Harkness is trying to keep that all intact. Maybe she's not a bad guy after all, guys.
Oh, that's a hot take. Agatha not the villain.
Whoa.
She's the one trying to keep Wanda the villain from blowing everything up.
Maybe. I don't know. I personally think I would like to see like the hex or whatever just keep continually to expand and maybe it just takes over the whole world, and that's kind of how we get like the House of M, because she was already kind of like anybody that enters gets their cells rewritten. So maybe the hex just keeps expanding, like Daniel said. Like maybe she snaps, that causes her to just fully just break out the full expansion across the whole globe, and that's why we have Doctor Strange in the mix. And then he's like, "Hey, girl, Wanda, what are you doing? Like, what's going on right now?" So that's kind of how I think this is leaning towards, like just a major hex expansion. And one of my friends said, like, instead of calling them the X-Men, we just start to call them the Hex-Men instead.
Whoa, I love that. I love Hex-Men.
It's great.
Oh, how have I not thought of that? That's amazing. Dorian, that's a really good idea, because like why did the Hex stop at its expansion point that it did? You know, it's that farm was like whatever 8 miles outside Westview. Like, what did Wanda just get tired, or she's like, that's good. We got the sword camp in there. We got Vision.
I mean,
back
it looks
in there.
like a lot of work to expand the hex, so girl's got to take a break, you know?
Yeah, but like if she wanted to, it seemed like the implication of that episode 6 final scene was that it could just keep going. Like it could coat the entire world. It didn't really seem to go as far to see a curvature on the world. That is, if you subscribe to the theory that the world is actually round. But it seemed like it could just keep going out and out and out and coat the entire. You know, the thing is, people don't know I'm joking, so I got to be clear that was a joke. Some of our subscribers are of the conspiracy persuasion. The world is not flat, but in the MCU it might be. I don't know.
Maybe it's a hexagon shape.
It could be hex shaped. You're right, Danny. Zach, what do you think the multiverse dawn could look like in this show?
I do think, here's what I think. I think you mentioned a post-credit scene. I think we haven't seen a multiverse yet, right? We thought we got teased with multiverse when Evan Peters showed up, but turned out that that's probably not Fox Quicksilver showing up, and it was maybe just a quirk of casting. We'll talk about that later. I think we get maybe in the post-credit scene, I think Wanda is going to want to escape this Earth. And so somehow then maybe as a result of the final battle, somehow, a little hole opens up that she jumps through. And that's like her escaping into the multiverse. And we only get a tiny glimpse of it. And then it gets fully explored in Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. I feel like we know that Scarlet Witch is going to show up in Doctor Strange 2, but they're not going to want these to feel like 9 episodes and then a movie that are all one continuous story. I feel like the multiverse story is going to be told in Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
It'll just be kind of teased, just tiny hint at it at the end of this to keep us intrigued until that film comes out.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Zach and Dorian, you guys are right there about like it's setting up a real conflict, a multiverse conflict in Doctor Strange. I think that much is clear, and I think the House of M elements of the story is really going to be more adapted in this Doctor Strange movie. But I think in the meantime, we are seeing this kind of origin story for Monica Rambeau. And there's still, we just released a video on this yesterday. But like the idea is like, it seems like Monica Rambeau has some ties with S.W.O.R.D., some ties with Carol Danvers, that she might have already been superpowered before she passed through these walls a few times. And that's why she has these photon abilities now. But like, so what do you think is being set up with Photon, with Monica Rambeau, if Photon is going to be her name?
Dude,
is there?
Oh, sorry, Dan. I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm
first.
just so excited because we talked about this off camera, but when they started this series, like with her introduction, I was like, all right, are they going to actually give her powers? Are they going to actually like dive into her backstory? Yeah. I thought like she was just going to be a side character, not such a central focus to the storyline. So I'm like, damn, they're really setting up this hero. So I was visually blown away when she like passed through and actually like became and got those powers. But now I'm thinking like, does she go by the moniker of Photon because that's her mom, or will they change it up and do like call her Spectrum? But I definitely think they're setting her up to be a hero, and maybe it's her and Scarlet versus Agatha in the finale, because when you see that like post-credit scene of her eyes glowing, at first I thought it was Agatha controlling her, but if you take a look, like pause it, you can see her eyes are starting to glow like before Quicksilver Pietro even shows up. So I think that was just her powers reacting to what was going on and not necessarily her being controlled. So I'm like, maybe she can take whatever those blasts are being dealt to her with like the mind control, when she will be able to like really snap Wanda out of it and be like, hey Wanda, let's go ahead and fight this Agatha and beat her up and like take her down because she's about to destroy the world or something. But I definitely think that they're setting her up to be one of the people to kind of help Wanda find her way back to the light and not like, go completely evil.
I feel like the Skrulls could really come into play. I know that's kind of like a theory that people are throwing around, that Major Goodner is actually a Skrull. And maybe they're super, super loyal to Monica and her mom, and maybe there is a show coming out about the Skrulls.
Yeah, Secret
and maybe
Invasion.
They're trying to like tease that and tie that all in. You know how much they love their connections in the MCU. So
yeah, that's a interesting point, because think about it. It seems like this show could potentially set up like 8 or 9 different upcoming Marvel things. Like we have Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, Wanda's coming back in that, right? But then we also have Captain Marvel 2, Monica Rambeau is coming back in that. We have Secret Invasion, so all the Skrull stuff seems like it could be setting up that. We have potentially Fantastic Four and X-Men that are being set up in this show. Is it possible?
All I care about is a Darcy and Agent Wu spinoff. Like,
right?
If that is not birthed from this series, and they are doing something wrong right now. That's the one I'm focusing on.
If we get like a Westview CSI with just Darcy and Jimmy Woo.
Or they become roommates and it's just a fun sitcom comedy where they're roommates.
That's all I need, just watching TV shows, and Darcy has to kind of explain to Jimmy, and he's like, can we just put on NCIS? I really like those guys. No, I think like the fact that we have all these things that are being set up, there's got to be some kind of multiverse angle. Like imagine some kind of like huge big grid of spectrums, and each one has like a different one of these new shows that's being set up. Because while I can see how Multiverse of Madness is being set up, or even Loki's being set up, because those both seem kind of like bonkers, Douglas Adamsian weird things. Like, what does this say for the Falcon Winter Soldier, or for Miss Marvel, or for Shang-Chi, or Eternals? And the only way those kind of make sense in a multiverse is if they just are in their own self-contained genres, undisturbed by other weird things coming from other dimensions. And Shang-Chi's just like, hey, I'm in a world where there's a fighting tournament. I'm locked in a battle with this guy called the Mandarin, and I that's just its own genre, and that's how Kevin Feige might be trying to justify it. Of like, the reason we haven't seen this fighting tournament world yet is because it's within another genre dimension that Wanda is about to create.
If that gives us an excuse to introduce Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and make them actually canon
Yeah.
in the shows, then I would be more than fine with them doing that, because they have been doing my show dirty, acting like it doesn't exist outside of
Yeah.
its own series. So if that's like an excuse that they can kind of have like Daisy Johnson and them like kind of be sword agents or something, I'm all for it, man.
It's Dorian, let's talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a second, because we keep getting these little references in WandaVision that gotta be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. references. Hydra soap, right? That is totally Coulson talking about the Hydra soap, mind control, and the framework, the hula dancer dashboard ornament. Like, why would they be making these little references to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then not fold it into the multiverse, right?
Or they're just trying to appease Dorian and the likes.
I mean,
and
maybe
just like,
like
see?
they knew I was gonna be watching it. They're like, I'm Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s #1 fan, but and I think they reported or something that because in the series finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like Daisy and the crew are up in space and they wanted to use sword, but because WandaVision was using sword, they couldn't use the actual name. So I don't know. Maybe like they are trying to slowly, loosely tie those connections, because imagine it, like Agent Wu and Agent Coulson bantering together, like that would be the ultimate team up, man. So I don't know. I hope maybe the multiverse can be the key that really connects Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Runaways to the MCU as a whole. Because I'm sure we're talking about it, but like the Darkhold, I think that is the Darkhold has been mentioned a couple times on these other shows. So I would love for some internet connectivity with this WandaVision.
Yeah, what's hard is that, like, as of right now, when we're taping this show, it seems like the Evan Peters Pietro isn't maybe necessarily a link, or at least a hard link that however Pietro got in this will be the same way Deadpool will get into this necessarily. But like, I do want the implication of this finale to be that all these different things we've seen could be kind of loosely connected or folded in different ways. Like, if it's just like the promise of it, the implication of it, I don't need answers right now. We can make these stupid videos on New Rockstars that kind of guess at answers for the next couple months, but just like give us a promise of something,
They'll never make promises.
It makes sense too, because it takes place after, or it takes place before Far From Home, and like they didn't pull that multiverse reference out of nowhere. So I feel like whatever the season finale, whatever ends in WandaVision, will definitely have a multiverse implications, because they wouldn't have mentioned that at all in Spider-Man. Like I don't know where he would have pulled that from. So who knows?
I like that idea, and that's a great like reference to bring up Far From Home. Though I will say, like, the thing I keep thinking about with this show and like how big of an impact it's going to have on the greater MCU, it's like this show's literally taking place inside a bubble, like a literal bubble. And I think they're doing that for a reason, right? This is like this whole show is a bottle episode, right? And I think like, we get like this character from Ant-Man, and we get this character from the Thor movies, and we get these characters that are going to go on to do stuff. But I really think it's a self-contained show. And like whatever the end result of this is not going to have as like broad a sweeping impact. And like they won't be able to tie everything into this show. But that's just my thought.
Well, the nice thing about the multiverse is they can literally justify anything because of it. And, ultimately they want to make money. So whatever is going to make them the most amount of money, I think they'll figure out how to justify creating all sorts of shows and movies.
Yeah. Let's make some final bets here with like survival bets. Do we think Vision, Billy, Tommy, do we think any of them might survive this show?
I don't think the versions of Billy and Tommy we see now, I don't think those kids are making it out of the show. We might see like an older version, like them Speed and Wiccan, like coming to their full moniker, like fully teenagers down the line. But I think we will not see those kids walking out of this show. And I don't think we'll see Vision walking out of the show either. That hurts me to say that, but my boy, I don't think my boy's making it out. Like,
he was built to die over and over again.
Yeah.
I know I said that I thought Agatha wasn't the true villain of the show, but I do think she may have eaten the twins already.
Oh, okay. But that's not bad. That's not a deal breaker for you.
Yeah, right? No, I mean, come
Still
on.
a good guy?
Are they even really kids? Let's be real here.
Yeah, they're probably like magic.
I think she whipped those kids up into a twin's meat pie and snacked on them before. I've been working.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's
good. she wrote that last week. Yeah, I totally agree, and I like what Dorian said that like. Yeah, those two kids are not going to be Wiccan and Speed, but it does feel like we are going to get a Wiccan and Speed. Maybe is it like in the next episode, like they walk outside the bubble or Wanda snaps her fingers or something like that, and all of a sudden it's like two actors from Riverdale or something like that. And it's like, oh yeah, that's who they want to keep being big characters in the MCU, you know? And I also agree that like, yeah, Vision's done, right? Like that feels like he's a phase 3 character. We said goodbye to a lot of those characters, right? It's time to move on to phase 4. We need these young new characters like Monica and Wiccan and Speed and all this kind of stuff. So like he's kind of helping with that transition, but he's probably done.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney was probably like, after starting to film this, they were like, it's too much of a hassle to keeping up with kids. Like, there's a lot of rules. So they probably realized they were like, we are not going to try to make we're not trying to make these kids the young Avengers. Let's just age them. No. Let's just, maybe a couple years they'll recast them, but they were like, nah, let's end this here. Let's stop it now.
Yeah, they need to get those cute teens in there for all the teeny boppers.
Teeny boppers? You've workshopped twins meat.
No, that one still working on.
No. But I think we're all on the same page that in order to set up Wanda to kind of blow up the multiverse, she has to like have these loved ones torn away from her. And Tommy and Billy, I love these kids playing the parts. I think they're really good. But I think like while hopefully these actors will continue to get work as a result of the show and maybe in the MCU going forward, I think like the Multiverse of Madness is going to be Wanda desperately jumping from multiverse to multiverse, trying to find what she had in WandaVision, and she's not going to be successful. It's just going to be, each one's going to be slightly, it's going to be like Homer with the toaster. Every little future that she goes to visit, it's just gonna be off in some weird way. She's like, not this one, and that's gonna have like weird, cataclysmic side effects that Doctor Strange is gonna be like, all right, someone needs to stop this. But poor Vision. This has been my favorite Vision story. I hope Paul Bettany can continue to play some version of this character, even if it's just like a rebooted Jarvis by the end of this. I'd love to see him come back as Jarvis.
Maybe they'll do a season 2 and just do like maybe Wanda's like somehow the bubble is still remaining, and she says like, although I can't stay inside this bubble because I have like real grown up stuff to do in the real world, she's like, I'll keep this bubble alive for Vision, so for the sake of it. And then she realizes like I have to move on from Vision, and then she creates he has his own little family, and then we have like Vision family, and then he can just live happily ever after.
Oh, cool.
And then that's season 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
2.
trying to be optimistic, but no. I truly think he's not making that out of this series.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think was Loki announced to get a second season, but are these other shows? Are we going to get season 2s of these shows, or is it going to be like, the way comics are adapted, you get a run of a storyline, and then that storyline flows into another storyline. What do you guys think? Could we get a true season 2 of WandaVision?
I don't know, but I personally think they see the hit. Like, this is the number 1 TV show out in the world right now. Like, why wouldn't you come back and try to do a season 2 of it? Like you said, there's different comic book adaptations. Like, give us a WandaVision season 2 where she's just all happy all the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do like that idea of like, you could have a second season, but treat it like a comic book run. So it has a different title, maybe some of the same characters, but it's a totally different kind of story, right? And you're not like stuck needing to repeat the same story you've already told, and you have the freedom to totally go somewhere else. And it's all Wanda in space, where it's the ghost of Vision,
Wanda,
haunting.
And then this time it's his it's his story of his own Wanda, how he visions Wanda like it's a robot Wanda. I don't know, bro.
I love that.
Put me in the writer's room though. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't see a true season 2, but I definitely see them spinning off everything they're setting up and allowing there to be another show that takes all of this into consideration in this universe.
So I want to end by just asking you guys, do we think there's going to be some kind of post-credit stinger to this series, and will it introduce us to this cameo that Paul Bettany keeps teasing?
I really think it's going to be Benedict Cumberbatch peeking in at the end, a little post-credit scene to just really set up the splitting or the opening of the multiverse and kind of setting up Doctor Strange 2. If they can afford him. I don't know. It's probably pretty pricey.
Well, they got that Disney money. They can afford him.
think maybe so. My money's on, like Daniel said, probably Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange making an appearance, but also somebody in my mind, like because Paul Bettany said it's somebody he's always wanted to work with. Like no disrespect to Benedict Cumberbatch, but he's out compared to like Ian McGregor or Patrick Stewart. He's young, like he still has a career he has to build up to. So Paul Bettany is like his peer compared to somebody of that caliber. So I feel like it has to be somebody like a Professor X. Maybe the post credit scene you see Professor X rolling up to the Hex or something, or he's like, what the hell is this? Like, because I feel like they've already hinted at the like you see Billy, he already says like he has those telepathic issues where he can hear everybody, and he hears a lot of noise, and he says like it's quiet now, and so I feel like they're hinting at telepathy as a big thing. So who's like the main telepather, what's the word I'm trying to telepathic, my dumbass. The main telepathic person, Patrick Stewart, Professor X or Jean Grey, but my money's on Professor X showing up, or Magneto. Somebody, it has to be an actor that's like relatively old for Paul Bettany to be like, I've always wanted to work with them. In my opinion.
True.
I think you're
Good
right,
point.
Dorian. It's someone who he regards with respect, and he might respect Benedict Cumberbatch, and I think Benedict Cumberbatch might totally cameo in this, but I don't think that is the cameo. He might be a cameo.
Right.
And I did make a video about this, and someone's like, well, Paul Bettany and Benedict Cumberbatch were in that Darwin movie together. They were in a movie together before.
Yeah. So he wouldn't be that excited to work with him.
He would be excited to have him on. He might be a cameo, just not the cameo. So that's why I think, Dorian, I think you're right on that. Zach, what do you think?
Okay, so I see both. I like both your ideas. I raise you one. I got two cameos. Okay, the first one is maybe not the Luke Skywalker level one, but I think it could be a fun MCU cameo. Chiwetel Ejiofor. I always mispronounce his name, but Baron Mordo, right? Like, we know he's connected to Doctor Strange. He's hunting down all the people with magic, right? There's too many damn wizards in this world, or whatever his great line was in the
That's what he said. There's too many damn wizards in this world.
So like, I wouldn't doubt, because like that's a kind of great actor. Paul Bettany has never been in a movie with him before, even though they're both about the same age. They're both English actors. I think that could be a fun, like, talk about fireworks, like if they're like fighting each other with crazy magic and lasers and stuff like that. But I think maybe the Luke Skywalker level actor, I do think it could be whoever's playing Mephisto. And here's my pitch. Now this is Rogue. Okay. I think coming out of retirement, an 80-plus-year-old Gene Hackman as Mephisto, okay? He completes the circle. He's in both a Superman movie as Lex Luthor in like 1978.
That's not a circle, though.
Yeah, no, of course.
That's a kind of wiggle line. Yeah. They do those like blurring effects on his face.
They de-age
so he looks younger. Yeah.
Maybe because they introduced like a little circus scene last time. Maybe it's you see Hugh Jackman. They do a little cameo of him in a tent, like it's his role as P.T. Barnum or whatever. But it's also like hinting at him as Wolverine.
They are fighting, but then it ends in a musical number, and that's how they all get along at the end.
Listen, this show's been doing some crazy stuff.
Hey, it's Disney now, so you never know with Disney. They love a musical.
Oh my god. Well, I have some points to award for this round because this is still Rogue Theory and I'm still a nerd who calculates algorithmic points that I award to people based off how much I like what they just said. So Zach, for your take that this could all be a literal bottle episode, I love that idea. So you get one Sparklebuck there.
Yay.
Danielle, you pitched this idea of Agatha maybe not being such a bad guy. Also, you said twins meat pie. So for that, I award you 2 points. 2 points to Danielle Dorr. And then Dorian, you were all over the place with some great hot takes here between Hexmen, bringing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into this. Season 2 being called Visions Wanda. Oh, I want to see that.
Listen, man, if they don't bring me in the writer's room for season 2, I'm suing Disney. I don't have the lawyers, but I'm suing them.
Yeah. Hire this man, and I'm going to award you 3 points.
Whoa.
But it's still anyone's game because we got more to talk about with what the hell is Pietro then? So a quick word real quick from the folks who helped bring Rogue Theory to you. every week. First, we want to thank our friends at Bespoke Post for sponsoring this episode. So the curators at Bespoke Post have an all-new lineup of essential box of awesome collections for guys, guaranteed to upgrade your life. I love some of the clothing and travel gear I've gotten from Bespoke Post. I use this stuff all the time, whether it's pieces to level up your indoor hosting skills or cozy threads for cold days. Bespoke Post only sends guys the best stuff every month. No matter what you're into, Box of Awesome has you covered. From style and grooming goods to cooking tools, outdoor gear, Box of Awesome has collections for every part of your life. The current Alchemy or Parlor boxes look like some great ways to spruce up your home bar setup. So to get started with this, just take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right box of awesome for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Each box only costs $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code ROGUE at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code ROGUE for 20% off your first box. We also want to thank our friends at Honey for sponsoring this episode. So we all shop online, and we've all had that kind of promo code field taunt us at checkout, like, oh, you don't know the password, you're screwed. Well, I know I am leaving money on the table. It drives me nuts. But thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. See, Honey is the free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes, and it applies the best one it finds to your cart at over 30,000 different stores online. When you check out, the Honey button drops down, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons, and you wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons all over the internet, and if they find one, you will watch your prices drop. I saved $10 on some headphones that I bought for Christmas gifts last year. It was great. Honey has found its over 17 million members over $2 billion in savings. It took less than a minute and was incredibly easy every time I've used this. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free, and it installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast. So get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/roguetheory. That's joinhoney.com/roguetheory. And New Rockstars is excited to be partnering with the app Stereo on 3 weekly live shows. All 3 shows are live on the Stereo app. You can download it for free at stereo.com/newrockstars. It's awesome. It's like a live in real time podcast. So you can submit your voicemails, your comments, your theories, your questions, and we'll answer and respond in real time. So these 3 shows on Mondays, we got our editors dissecting some of their favorite moments from the past week of videos. Wednesdays, it's me and Philip. Yesterday was me and Zach as we go through the weekend entertainment news. And on Fridays, Jessica Clemens and I do a live taping of Inside Marvel, our WandaVision after show that you can hear hours before it drops on YouTube. And then after the show, Jessica and I stick around. We do a Q&A with everybody, and then we put that up on YouTube on Sunday. So if you want to be featured on that show, you got to jump on Stereo. It's a great opportunity to get the whole world to listen to your theories. So access these live shows, share your questions and theories, interact with us in real time by downloading this free Stereo app at stereo.com/newrockstars. That's stereo.com/newrockstars. And I want all of you to stick around just a little later to hear, because I got to tell you about Philip. He had an interesting experience with Blue Chew. It chokes me up. Okay, but first, speaking of strange masses of flesh we didn't see coming, okay, we got confirmation in episode 7 that Agatha is actually, I guess, somehow puppeting Evan Peters, his version of Pietro, in order to manipulate Wanda. And for many of us, it makes it at least look a lot less like the Fox X-Men Quicksilver is showing up here, because he seems like just a pawn of Agatha's machinations, and she's someone who breaks the fourth wall, and it kind of seems like, oh, she's just breaking the fourth wall to kind of mess with us to do this recast. So we're less sure than ever what the hell Evan Peters' character is. The theory I pitched in the breakdown is that he might actually be Senor Scratchy the Rabbit, aka Agatha's son Nicholas Scratch, shapeshifted into a person. What do you guys think of that theory? What is Pietro?
I like that theory, but also I'm 7 weeks in now. I've already said like Mephisto's in this, and at this point, like I have to die on this hill regardless of if he's in it or not. So like it's Mephisto. That's all I gotta say. Like we're gonna turn around in episode 9. There's no mention of Mephisto, and people still ask me. I'm gonna be like, yeah, Mephisto was in it. I am fully committed to it being Mephisto, and it's just like, you know, that he's using Agatha is using him as that body as a conduit to bring Mephisto into this plane of existence, because I feel like, like after the snap calls, like, you have half of the universe going to this non-existent plane, or this other, wherever they were at. I feel like they were where Mephisto was at, and he was drawing power from all of them. And so when the snap came back, he lost all his power, and he was like, where did all those people go? So then he's going on this digging research, and he finds out, like, oh, they're back on Earth, and now he's working with Agatha to find out how to get to this existence so he can draw more power. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm hoping so, and I hope it's a good theory, because, like I said again, he has to be in this at this point. I've said it too many times, so I'm like how Scarlet Witch can manifest, like she can manifest kids. I'm manifest Mephisto being in this series.
Well, just like Mephisto.
Manifesto is something else. That's a whole other word already.
Woo! Well, just like you're gonna die on the Mephisto hill, I'm gonna die on the maybe Agatha's not so bad hill. Because maybe Agatha has created, because, Wanda doesn't know how this started, where this happened. Maybe Agatha is a part of creating this bubble so that Wanda can feel her feelings and go through the grief. And part of that is her getting over her brother's death, which she's clearly not over yet. So this is all something Agatha is puppeting. And he even says, like, I'm here to cause you grief. And, like, maybe grief not in the way of, like, frustration, but, like, grief in the way of, like, letting her feel her feels and go through those feelings. So maybe this is all just part of Wanda, or Agatha helping Wanda get through this with the least amount of damage possible. And it's out of her hands now, and it's out of control, and perhaps she was really just trying to do right by her buddy Wanda, Well,
I think that's totally possible, Danny. I just want to know what exactly Evan Peters is. Like, is he like a therapy doll? Or it's like point to the Evan Peters where you were hurt.
A meat puppet. He's a full-on meat puppet.
Gross. Here, I think I have problems with all these ideas, but I also love all these ideas. My only issue with him being Senor Scratchy the rabbit is the geography of that final scene and then the post-credit scene. Now, that post-credit scene where Monica opens up the cellar doors and looks down there, and all of a sudden Pietro's right next to her, Snooper's gonna snoop, or whatever he said to her. Like, that could have been the next day after Wanda wanders into the basement, or it could have been, hours later. But it seemed like it was almost immediately after Wanda and Agatha confront each other in the basement. And Monica, right, she'd just been kind of beaten up in the yard when her and Wanda kind of tussled, right? She wasn't that far away. So it seemed like it happened right after. And, like, we saw Senor Scratchy in a cage in the living room. And then all of a sudden, Quicksilver's outside next to Monica. So I don't think, I choose not to believe the rabbit and Pietro are the same person. But I do think, I like some of the theories that are out there that Agatha might be like a witch who's, like, left over from the Salem witch trials somehow, right? Like, that's kind of a little bit of her backstory in the comics. And maybe Pietro, what he technically is, when you kind of peel back the fake face of Evan Peters or whatever, is kind of like her Igor from, like, the 1500s or whenever the hell, right? Like her little servant or like, puppet or whatever guy that's been serving her for, centuries or something like that, and is always forced to do these tricks. Because I think they've made a point of making Pietro is sentient, right? He keeps calling stuff out, unlike all the other characters in Westview, right? Like, he keeps being like, what, are you going to kill your husband again? No other characters besides Monica have acknowledged the outside world inside of Westview at all. Even Vision, right, has not. So I think that's important. And I think, like, he is not a resident of Westview. He's not a multiverse Quicksilver, but I think he might have, like, traveled to Westview with Agatha. Maybe he's been her companion or servant. He may not like her, and he maybe resents her, and he might help Monica fight her to kind of, like, break the spell, maybe to release himself or something like that. But that's what I'm going with, what Pietro is.
As far as casting goes, I feel like the creators were just trying to be cheeky to play off this whole show and a show and a show sitcom kind of thing, because I was reading an interview with the showrunner, and she said she thought casting Aaron Taylor Johnson would be confusing. And I'm like, and this isn't confusing? But I think they were really trying to be like cheeky and like winky to the audience, like a fun. And I think they innocently thought that perhaps it would just be like a fun little crossover that didn't mean much. And I think they were sorely mistaken, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think he's X-Men Quicksilver, but I do like I piggybacking off of what you said, Zach, about like him being sentient and him kind of knowing what's going on. That kind of like makes me even more think he's Mephisto because there was one scene like when he was introduced when he was talking to the kids and like Vision tried to get their attention, but they were fully locked in on or on Pietro and I mean on fake Pietro and I mean like if they're going to do the route where like they're fragments of Mephisto's soul, of course, like those kids are going to be more focused on him, like because they're part of like they feel more connected to him rather than Vision. Like if you want to break it down, like those like that Mephisto could be like their real father in a way, essentially. So I feel like that's why they were able to like that's why he had their attention, and I feel like that's why it's leaning more towards him being Mephisto. And again, I could be reaching because I just like I said, I'm just manifesting any type of theory I have because at this point
Yeah.
he has to be it. But man, I do agree with him being sentient, and I also agree like how you said, Daniel. Like I think that it's not Fox's X-Men's Quicksilver. I don't think that at all anymore.
Yeah, I think and it's interesting, right? Because like Feige has been very, very good throughout all these films at like knowing what his fans' expectations are. And you have to imagine that while Jack Schaefer, while Matt Shackman, while the WandaVision team may be able to underestimate the way fans would react to something, Kevin Feige would know exactly what that would mean to fans to see the Fox Quicksilver show up in the MCU. Like I get it. I get why everyone and people are coming at me hard on Twitter. They're like, "You gave up on our Fox Quicksilver." I'm like, look, only because the show doesn't seem to be interested in that explanation. Like as Doreen was saying, they're giving us more like witchcraft and satanic stuff. Like I'm still in the Mephisto train, but only because all the evidence is pointing in that direction. Like if they had given us any other multiversal wink, anything, any kind of reference to what he had done, if they had played "Sweet Dreams" Eurythmics by the Eurythmics, if they had talked about Apocalypse or just something, then I'd be like, okay, yeah. But as of now, it's hard to see. But do you guys think that there could be something, even if it's like, they know Wanda's a Nexus being? Could there be something there with Agatha being able to peer into the multiverse, and that was part of her meta ploy? Like, I'm screwing with you, Wanda. I'm taking this guy, and that's the mask I'm making for him.
I mean, potentially because in my mind, like speaking of like just the fourth wall breaker, like the multiverse dimensions, because when you look on the outside of the whole hex, it's red, it's big, and all of that. But as like Monica was breaching through all blue, and all she could see inside was blue and purple, which makes me think is like that's Agatha actually like controlling everything and manifesting everything, and it's just she's sourcing Scarlet Witch's powers, or she's like being able to, I don't know how she's able to do it, but she's taking how Wanda feels and then distributing it out to everybody, which makes everybody think it's Wanda's the one controlling everybody or making everybody feel like how they feel, but it's actually just Agatha using her as a conduit to just make sure everybody feels the same way. And then they're blaming it all on Wanda. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like and then we also look at it when Monica was like passing through and she had all of her like different timeline, like all of her 4 different like layered, like how she's been like evolving out throughout her life, like all those like kind of merge into one. And that's kind of like her powers, or she's able to draw from different draw from different universes to like kind of, that's how she's able to use her power. So I feel like that was her kind of absorbing all her different timelines, alternate realities into one being, and that's why like her eyes were going, because she's like, all right, fully charged now, let me break through this wall that's like that's stopping me. And that's how that's how it was, like how she was birthed. I don't know, again, feel like I'm reaching, but that's just my theory.
I mean, we all got to reach until we have something
That's
to
why
cling
we're
to.
here.
We got to
Reaching
reach
like
for
Mr.
something,
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some great conversation there. I feel like I'm a little bit closer to understanding what Pietro could be. But the point is going to go to Dorian here, because not just because, my bias is Mephisto. I want Mephisto to be in this too. But like, you actually get with a really good theory there for why Mephisto is in here. The fact that he was able to hold on to the souls of the damned during the blip. I love that idea. I've never thought of that before, but that's so cool that Mephisto was the one holding on to them before they redusted adjusted back into reality. That's so cool.
But I do agree with Zach. I think there was a more. I hope we get to see Baron Mordo because it's like he's been gone for a minute now. Like, and what was he doing in those 5 years? I don't think he got snapped. Maybe he was making deals with other demons and stuff like that. So I would love to see him pop up because I think he's a great actor, and we need more villains like that.
All right, so before we move on, I promised it, and I'm delivering it. We got to talk about Blue Chew. Thank you to Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode. So our friends at Blue Chew have a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form at the fraction of the cost. So Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no doctor's office or pharmacy trips. It ships right to your door in a discreet package. You sign up at BlueChew.com. You consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you receive your prescription within days. Their licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength. So New Rockstar's own Philip Molina tried Blue Chew, and he said he really enjoyed the experience. He said the blood went to all the right places. And he loves to bring that up in meetings in ways that are probably not safe for work and still extremely awkward. But it's what he experienced, and we're proud of his success. We'll just say that he endorses Blue Chew's products hard, pun intended. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Here's what you do. You try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code ROGUE at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code ROGUE to receive the first month free. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode. All right, it's time for Rogue Questions. So Tom Holland, who just released some photos for Spider-Man 3, we're excited to look at those. He said in an interview this week that WandaVision is his favorite Marvel thing he has ever seen. I might have to agree until the finale episode, in which I might vehemently disagree. We'll see. But I want to know from you guys, which one of Tom Holland's Spider-Man co-stars should be the most offended?
Oh.
Yeah, because he just dissed everything he's been in, right? This dude was in Endgame, and he's like,
his favorite.
WandaVision's the best Marvel thing I've ever seen. You were in Endgame, dude. You were in Spider-Man Far From Home. Come on.
Maybe he doesn't like to watch himself, so maybe he hasn't seen those.
I'd probably be Robert Downey Jr. I'd be like, bro, I was in a movie with you, like I was your mentor, like I basically birthed you, like I'm your Uncle Ben in this universe, and you're just gonna throw me to the side. I don't know. I'd probably be Robert Downey Jr. for me, or Zendaya. I don't know. Probably
agree.
I was gonna go with for sure Zendaya. I was 100% gonna go with Zendaya because she is A, great actress, B, a stunner, and C, like, gotta be a gem to work with. Like, she seems like the nicest person on the universe.
Yeah.
You know what? Just because I try to say her name every time I can on anything, Marissa Tomei, my girl, my goddess, Marissa Tomei. Been with her since my cousin Vinny, and damn it, put some respect on her name, Tom Holland.
I know. Can we just can Tom Holland stop just doing press until the movie comes out? Like, bro, like anytime he does press for Cherry or something like that, everybody's gonna ask him Marvel stuff. If I was him, I'd just be like, no more press for me. I got too big of a mouth. Let me stop.
Yeah. And then there's like a ton of freaking scoops that we have to debunk whenever he says something. And it's like, no, just wait till a trailer comes out and then you can react to the trailer. Tom Holland, please stop doing interviews until a trailer comes out. Please. All right. The point there's going to Zach. I believe Marissa Tomei, attention must be paid.
Yes.
To Tomei. Okay. And another question here. The Marvel Must-Haves merch line released a 3-piece WandaVision wedding ring set this week. Considering the state of both characters as of episode 7, is it weirder to wear Vision or Wanda's wedding ring? And is there a worse couple to use the wedding rings of? This doomed couple, you can have your rings inspired by this android.
I don't know if I want that in my life. You know, like depending on the season finale, but just in general, like if you look back at their relationship as a whole, they've had a rocky start, a rocky middle, and now like it's been rough. Like I don't know if I'm going to use that as a model for like a perfect relationship.
I don't think I would want my wedding rings to be based off of Rob and Talisa Stark.
Yeah, they'd be pretty bad.
I just feel like it's kind of setting up the day.
Red wedding. Yeah.
This is not a good day, not a fun day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, because technically Wanda and Vision have never been officially married, right? They there wasn't an engagement. They didn't have a ceremony or anything like that.
Well,
right?
within
In
the
the
hex,
comic, in the
Yeah.
comics, they were married. They had a double wedding in the comics, I think.
but not in the MCU, unless you consider the hex canon. But I don't think the hex is canon. Well, it's weird. It's a weird version of canon.
She threw him through the ground in Civil War. Like, people don't forget that. Like, and that's,
Yeah.
like, he's been abused. Like, he has trauma, bro. Like, if I had to, like, I'm rooting for my boy Vision though. Like, he seems like he'd be a good, like, he wouldn't cheat on you or anything. Like, he'd be a good house husband, like
Yeah.
keeping the kids at home while Wanda's out doing all her sorcery and witchery. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Well, hopefully, if he makes it through, they really pursue couples therapy because I think at this point they could really, really benefit from that.
Maybe that's the big finale. Maybe it's a wedding scene being officiated by Patrick Stewart as Professor X, right? Like,
Oh.
What a weird wedding. Why is he there?
I don't know.
And Magneto gave her away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. The point's going to go to Danielle there. I think the Robin to Lisa Stark wedding theme would be pretty stupid and awful. So you get the point. That's so funny. Okay, but based off my tally, I believe Dorian is our winner.
Yeah.
Dorian Parks, congratulations,
I
sir.
don't win anything in life, so this is needed.
It was Dorian all along.
That's
Yeah,
right.
there it
Went
is.
too long. Well, congratulations to all of you. A bunch of great theories and thoughts. I love this episode. I can't wait to see episode 8 tonight. Let's see how right we were in these final 2 episodes. So be sure to follow all of our guests, Dorian Parks, Danielle Spiso, and Zach Huddleston on all their social media. Support all their many projects, everything else they're working on. All 3 are great. Support our channel by checking out one of our many great merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. You can follow me at EA Voss and follow New Rockstars. Subscribe here on YouTube. And then one more reminder to download the Stereo app. You just go to stereo.com/newrockstars so you can listen to our 3 new weekly live shows. Download this app for free on Apple and Android. Create an avatar and profile. And we'll be live on Stereo 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Jessica and I do talk about episode 8 of WandaVision. You're going to want to be there to hear our thoughts and get your questions submitted, so it'll be on the Sunday pop-out Q&A show. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Enjoy WandaVision tonight. Bye.
Yay.